10 lakh crore rupees, that is how much we need to spend to bridge the social inequity in India. While a bulk of the spending on social sector schemes will have to continue to come in from the government, that is the government's job and its responsibility, a lot of us need to do our bit as well. CSR initiatives, philanthropy and small contributions from the general public will alleviate some of this inequity. I want to bring your attention to philanthropy specifically because India's rich are not giving enough. According to a Bain & Company report, India's uber-rich will have to increase their donations by 8 times to match their UK and Chinese counterparts and by 13 times to give more than the millionaires and billionaires in the US. Worryingly, the report shows that philanthropic contributions have only grown at an annual rate of a paltry 6% from 16,000 crores in FY15 to 22,000 crores in FY21. But there is a silver lining. India's new age entrepreneurs who've come to gather great wealth in recent times are donating and doing so more generously. The Bain report says tech founders constituted about 8% of the total ultra-high net worth individual wealth. They contributed to 35% of the total donations in FY21. And there seems to be scope to do much more. The IIFL Wealth Hurun India 40 and Under Self-Made Rich List 2022, released just yesterday, saw 14 new entrants, all of whom are startup founders. The cumulative wealth of the entrants in the list has increased by 11% in comparison to last year, currently standing at 1,84,000 crore rupees. A reflection of this trend can be seen in the Young India Philanthropic Pledge. It's an initiative for Indians below the age of 45 with a net worth of over 1,000 crore rupees to publicly pledge 25% or more of their wealth to philanthropy. As part of its first project, YIPP has joined hands with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to provide a funding of 50 crore rupees over a period of 3 years with the aim of modernizing government schools in rural Karnataka. The Young India Philanthropic Pledge is an example of shovel-ready and fully designed vehicles for giving that Bain suggests in its solutions to help India's rich give more. Hello and welcome to Young Turks, India's longest running show on startups and entrepreneurship. I'm Shireen Bhan, and joining me on the show today to talk about the pledge is Nikhil Kamath, the co-founder of Zerodha and True Beacon. He also tops the IIFL Wealth Hurun India 40 and Under Self-Made Rich List for 2022. Also with us, Prashant Prakash, co-founder and partner at Accel India, Amitabh Shah, the founder of Yuva Unstoppable, and Arnav Kapur, the lead philanthropic partnerships in India and South Asia at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here on the program. Nikhil Kamath, let me start by talking to you because you've topped that list. This takes me back to a conversation that I had with one of India's original startup founders, N.R. Narayanamurthy, and he said that he wishes or he hoped that there was more focus given to a respectability index or a credibility index as opposed to a rich list. So, Nikhil, as someone who's topped the rich list, I want to understand from you what you make of being there to start with. And on the pledge itself, what made you want to sign up for this?
Yeah, so Shireen, firstly, it's virtual money, right? I mean, I think most people have to come to terms with the fact that valuations are extrapolated based on income of today and, probably like kind of considering what the future might be. I don't think that's real money. I don't think we pay too much attention to valuations and lists like this. The reason we started YIPP along with Prashant, Amitabh, and a bunch of other friends from Bangalore is we recognize how lucky many of us have been by virtue of being in Bangalore, by virtue of having an ecosystem where companies like us could thrive. Often, people take credit for the success they've had in their lives, but we were cognizant to the fact that there were many moving factors which worked out for us. We had a bull run in India for the last 10, 15, 20 years. All of this has come together to allow us to, flourish in our own way in whichever industry we might be a part of. Education, we believe, together as a group, is the one criteria that takes away the divide between people who have gotten lucky and people who haven't. And for the underprivileged of today or people who have not had access to what the affluent might have had, we felt for the very first project, the right way to go about it might be to improve government colleges, improve educations and institutions where access is provided to all. Hence, we started this project, and I think we conceived this maybe about a year and a half or 2 years ago, and we've been very lucky to have found the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Arnav is here today. They came along and they kind of aided us in this project, and they've kind of like also supported us in the future projects that YIPP is coming out with. But all in all, we're really kicked that this project has finally taken off. And I feel it will make a significant impact to those 200 or 300 schools that we are trying to change. And the quality of education in each one of these institutions will probably change significantly for the better.
Well, that's good to hear, Nikhil. And yes, I think access to good quality education can be, to a large extent, at least an equalizer, help bridge the wide gap that we see between those who have access to education and those who don't. But Arnav, I want to understand from you, the learnings of what you bring to the table from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, from the Giving Pledge that now, of course, has people signing up from around the world for years now, and how you intend to take that forward as part of what YIPP is trying to do.
The Young India Philanthropic Pledge coming up together, it could play a critical role in the large-scale philanthropy in India, which we look at. I think from our perspective, where we've been working, with Nikhil, Prashant, and the team, how we can bring in the technical expertise on the education side, that we primarily work in the US and we work with, Ashish and CSF in India. How can we focus on systems change? How can we look at improving outcomes? Focusing on foundational learning and numeracy, primarily focusing, on the ages of between 3 to 8, which is a large, important area, and also the new education policy, which the government has come out with it looks at. I think from a larger Giving Pledge perspective, so, as you're aware, this was an initiative started 12 years back in 2010 when Bill, Melinda, and Warren came together. At that point of time, it was about 40 people who joined the pledge. And, fast forward now 12 years, we have about 236 pledges from about 28 countries. And if you will look at the trajectory, over the last 12 years or so, we're seeing more people at a younger age who are joining, the Giving Pledge. About 15% of the signatories are under the age of 45. Some examples, would be Mark Zuckerberg, Brian Chesky, Melanie Perkins from Canva. So it's very broad-based, very global in that sense. So, very enthused about YIPP and the potential that it could have, for the large-scale philanthropy and improving the various social and the development outcomes in the country.
Well, Arnav, thanks very much for giving us the global context as well. And I want to take this conversation now to Prashant. Prashant, as Nikhil pointed out, it's been about a year and a half in the making of getting people to sign up for the YIPP, take the pledge. But what was that conversation like when you got together to try and mobilize support, to try and mobilize this group? Take me through the conversations that happened. What were some of the concerns, if any? Did people have concerns about the fact that will we really be able to make an impact? Or did they want to understand how this money was going to be used, what it would be, what it would mean for the ecosystem? Take me through those initial conversations and how it got started.
Shireen, thank you for bringing focus on this really important topic of people starting early in their giving journey. So I think being in Bangalore, we've been fortunate that we have a lot of role models of people like Nandan who started maybe slightly later in their career in terms of active philanthropy. So really the conversation started with me and Nikhil saying, this generation is experiencing so much of wealth and the ability to have that little bit of that disposable income to disposable wealth to give away. So we said, how do we catalyze this? And again, we've been very fortunate that somebody like Nikhil, a self-made billionaire, happened to be in Bangalore. So we said, let's keep it simple. Let's not try to do yet another NGO, right? So that's when we thought, the Gates model was really nice, because you then become more of a kind of a catalyst or a conduit to get people to participate in any form of giving. So we really said it has to be sector agnostic, right? So we're starting with education, but tomorrow we could add environment, we could add something in health and so on. So we said we'll keep it kind of flexible, and people can continue to have their own passion or their own area of focus, and we will find the right kind of projects to be able to do it. And here we said, let us pick projects that are really large and societally can make a huge impact. And NEP is something that everybody was talking about. And the big gap that we saw was that while everybody was talking about NEP, I don't think anybody had really an implementation blueprint, and which required bringing together people from multiple with multiple types of expertise from the edtech world. So people from the civil society, NGOs who have been in education for many, many years. So what we were able to do is actually take that platform approach. So that's the value add that we said we should be able to do, is bring this platform approach to NEP, and so this whole combination of existing old world NGOs, the kind of the new world attitude of startups and edtechs, and of course, the ability of some of us to navigate the government ecosystem. So can we bring all of this together and accelerate a blueprint or a kind of an at-scale prototype for NEP that can be replicated, and something like NEP can become a reality in maybe 3 to 4 years in our country, and not take 5-10 years. So acceleration, so starting early, accelerating this kind of a change, and keeping it flexible. So these were some of the founding principles that we discussed.
Well, that's good to hear, a platform approach to try and accelerate the movement of the national education policy. That's the NEP that Prashant is talking about. But, let me bring Amitabh in, because in many ways, Amitabh was the catalyst of getting this group of people together here on the program, Young Turks, when we spoke a couple of days ago, and we decided that this is something that is necessary. It's important to put the spotlight on this. So, Amitabh, thanks very much for doing that. It started in Bangalore. The idea now is to make this a nationwide movement. Take me through what the plans are as far as YIPP is concerned.
First of all, thank you, Shireen, for throwing light on this very, very important topic. And, I think the time is right for Yuva across India to start a giving revolution. And we are seeing that in terms of time, talent, or resources. There's so many people who are volunteering to teach math, science, dance, music, English, in many, many schools. We see tons and tons of social activism happening, led by young people across the country. I think I want to share a small story about this girl, Samiksha Dubey from Bihar. She's a second-year BCom student. Her father passed away about 8 years ago. Her younger sister, unfortunately, has to go on dialysis. Her younger brother is in 11th grade and wants to become a doctor. Her mom works in 4 different households right now to make ends meet. And Samiksha was one of our scholarship students at Yuva Unstoppable. And I asked her, how do you stay positive? How do you stay upbeat? And she said that I teach 3 girls in my neighborhood at least 6 hours a week, maths and science, because that is some way I can contribute. That makes me feel good about myself. That gives me confidence. And I thought, if someone like Samiksha can contribute so much, given the background she has, India is shining with unicorns. India is shining with exceptional investors like Prashant, Prakash. We've got the wisdom to draw from Gates Foundation. Why can't we mobilize young people, not just in Bangalore, but across the country, who have done well? And not just people who have done well themselves, but also people who have inherited wealth. So we have people like Ravi Pai from Century Group, who's a part of this, who's very, very keen on giving back. And what I've realized is that when you make giving back something cool to do, what Nikhil, Sujit Kumar of Udan and a lot of us are trying to do, people join hands. and if there is a sustainable, measurable impact that they see, I think it becomes a lot easier. So soon, Shireen, and you are also quite young. We would love to have you as a part of the YIPP team in some way to mobilize more young people to give back. We definitely see this spreading to Bombay, Delhi, Ahmedabad.
Unfortunately, the net worth threshold I won't ever meet, Amitabh.
Well, we are going to induct people from all walks of life who care, who are compassionate, and believe in building a stronger India. And you definitely qualify there. We all bring in different skills. I'm from the NGO sector, so I'm a part of it. So why not?